So, welcome to the office hours. I'm the professor, Chris MIA, gamer, programmer, mathematician, enthusiast of all academic things. Um, got some bad news, and this news really does come at the forefront of me working at universities and colleges and seeing a big difference in how, I mean, not a difference, I haven't, I guess, been like working there in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. And I've just kind of worked there at this sort of pivotal change where just logically makes no sense for certain things to happen. Like when professors are hired for their research abilities at university, and when they see that their secondary objective is to teach a class, and they realize their class is failing, to put out like an emergency grade waiver to boost everyone's grade up by 10, 20%, just based on how much will take them to that C graduation level. It's a very weird environment. It didn't seem to click with me. Why would you give people free points? Because these are going to be the future doctors, future financial advisors, future X, Y, and Z profession based on your major, right? So why would you push the graduation of these individuals? And it's starting to sound like it's starting to take an effect. I used to work at University of Central Florida 2015 to 18 or 16 to 18, something like that. And yeah, now it's 7 years later, we're seeing some effects. So I want to talk about this because it's important. It's a little bit on how college is also a bit of a, I don't want to say a scam, but it's not the only way to succeed in life. In fact, college doesn't really teach you any other way to succeed in life other than being a pencil pusher in a general sense of the word, being an office worker, right? So everyone goes into college thinking that university, thinking that that's going to be their break. That's going to be where they can get a job and go forward. But it turns out, I think it was like 90% of college and university grads don't actually use their degree and end up working at whatever job they can find. So now these kids are coming out with like tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, and they're working basic jobs as if they never took college or graduated college. So let's see what's going on with the job environment because this is something I like to look at. I just saw this a second ago. It started playing. I want to watch the rest of it on stream. If anyone's in, hello, how you doing? Give me a shout out. Give me a hello, what's up? Let me see what's going on. Otherwise, I'm gonna get started in a moment. I'm just trying to find out where my multi-chat is. There it is. All right. Just so I can keep track if somebody says something, I can essentially go in and respond. I'm a bit bad at responding, so be patient. I will respond. It may take me a moment to notice because I have stock charts, I have editing and broadcasting stuff, and then I have this video we're gonna go through. So I'm multitasking. I have a huge level of ADHD, probably ADD. H comes in when I have too much sugar. Um, and basically my attention span is everywhere. So give it a moment. If you say something, I'll be there. Just have that patience. So let's go. Let's actually start this off.
Bosses are firing Gen Z workers in record time. And there's a reason why. In fact, there's a lot of reasons. And in this video, I'm going to cover what they are. And while we're at it, let's look at a few Gen Z case studies to see exactly how they behave in the workplace. But before we get into that, if you're interested in more career content just like this directly from a corporate recruiter, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You may also want to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any
This
future
guy's really good.
content.
I like him
And
a
I'd like
lot.
to thank today's sponsor, Delete Me. More on them in a minute. So the headline reads, 1 in 6 companies are hesitant to hire recent college graduates. Intelligent.com back in August did a survey of
That's
966
almost
business
20%.
leaders who were involved in hiring decisions at their companies, and they were asking them about their attitudes towards recent college graduates and their hires. In other words, the Gen Z workforce that they've just recently hired. And it was really interesting what they found because 75% of the companies reported that they had indeed hired some Gen Z, and somewhat shockingly, 6 out of 10 admitted that they had fired a recent college graduate in the same year that they hired them. And
That's
the
crazy.
survey gives a lot of detailed reasons why, and we'll get into them in just a second. I want to put a little disclaimer here and say, these are not necessarily my viewpoints of Gen Z, but rather I'm just reporting what the data is saying. And according to the study, 75% of companies reported at least some issue with recent college grad hires. And if we scroll down, we can see some of the reasons why. And the most frequently cited reasons why these new hires didn't work out was 50% of these employers are saying that there's a lack of motivation or initiative. There's also a lack of professionalism, and that's nearly, 46%.
I want to break in real quick and analyze this little thing about professionalism. I love games. Games, you don't have to necessarily be professional, but there is a level of your character and how it affects the game, especially in team game situations. I like to play Marvel Rivals a lot. Not as much as I used to, really. Here and there. Season's almost over, so I'm trying to grind to diamond. But the case scenario is that the people I see that have this hero mindset, that they are the person that's going to carry, and then they end up not doing good, and then they end up blaming others for that fact. I can automatically see them and like identify them as a new child growing into the world of communication. Probably the next level of children, because these are probably like 14, 13 years old. But progressively, humans continue on the road of progression and get worse or better based on the trajectory, right? The trend. And if these kids right now are in this hero mindset, I can't imagine the previous generations that have grown under certain conditions of everyone gets a trophy and you're the special little snowflake and all these kind of like general weird growth attributes that prevent them from realizing life is a lot tougher and you're not the center of this hemisphere of this world. Um, and the just life is not behind your back, man. Like you could die any day, right? Like there's nothing that's so special about you that you will be the one that circumvents everything else. But this mindset has been a continuous growing virus in a way, based on just the ability to survive. And the way I see how many of these kids, and you can tell these are the kids because I play during both daytime and nighttime hours. Nighttime, you don't see them. Nighttime, they're sleeping. You can tell. You can tell that the environment of the game is much different at night. Talking like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I work internationally, so I have to basically stay up and my day starts at 1 p.m. and then ends at about 4 or 5 a.m. Right? So I get this time where I have to stay awake, so I play some games to keep myself awake for the next student that comes up. Mm, and you can see a big difference in contrast. And this character in a gaming environment is one thing, but when you see that there, you can also kind of see a parallel in the professional environment too.
Then organizational skills
The
and
attitude.
communication skills seem to be lacking. And then probably playing right
There it
along with
is.
that is challenges with feedback or not taking feedback very well. They also
Yep.
reference a
Oh
lack of
yeah.
relevant work
You tell somebody, look at the numbers, look at how many kills you got and how many kills the other team got, and they're gonna start saying, "Oh, but the tank didn't block damage. Oh, but the healers didn't heal enough." And then the healers have the highest amount in the whole game, and the tanks have blocked as much as they can, and the DPS is still like, "Oh, it's their fault." Take responsibility. This is a trait that's convertible to real life, even if it's gaming. Don't underestimate the characteristics of a person in a game when it's a tournament or ranked based system, and then imagine that they're so much better on the professional world. They are the same person, they're just doing two different things. And that sort of mentality where there's no self development, there's no self reflection, it's so prominent during daytime hours. It's a pattern. It's a pattern I've noticed.
experience, which is interesting because as an entry level person, you shouldn't be expected to have relevant experience. That's why they're entry level or college grad. But nonetheless, it's maybe a disconnect from what employers are expecting versus what we're experiencing on the job market. You have these entry level positions that are requiring 2 and 3 years of experience, and it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And so that's a big pain point for a lot of people. They also say poor problem solving skills, insufficient technical skills, bad culture fit, and difficulty working in a team. Now, it does seem like they're piling on poor Gen Z here, but nonetheless, that's what the data is saying. And 6 out of 10 companies has had to fire a recent college grad this year. So that's pretty shocking. What that tells me is that companies are hiring people, they're hiring Gen Z, they're hiring entry level, and they're not really putting up with what they perceive to be a cultural mismatch. And so they're making moves on people relatively quickly. And if you were to head over to TikTok, which we'll do in a minute here, and look at some of these stories of people who are getting terminated, it's clear that employers are slow to hire, quick to fire, and we're probably going to continue to see that trend, especially as the generations shift in the workplaces. One generation is exiting and a new generation is moving in. And this next one is
That's his life.
particularly discouraging because these employees are coming into the workplace after spending $100,000 plus on a college degree. And it's very obvious that these universities, these schools, are not preparing people for success in the modern workplace. There's a huge cultural disconnect, and there's clearly not enough transition training to get people ready and acclimated for what the work.
The training. I don't think that's the issue, which it does definitely contribute to the lack of. But if you're a college student, the thing I learned as a college student back in freaking 2010, right? I'm old, was that your time is valuable, and when you don't have someone paying your bills, you end up sleeping 3 to 5 hours a night. You end up trying to figure out how you can optimize the amount of time you have awake. You have to work, you have to study, you have to go to the actual classes, prepare for tests, program at home that will take 1 hour to make the program, but then about 9 hours to try and figure out why it's not working. Especially when you begin programming, that's the biggest issue, is something may be complete like if you're not debugging as you're coding and you just leave like, oh, I'm gonna do all of this at once and it's gonna work, and then you start running your program, it's just not gonna work. And it's not going to be one bug in the way. It's going to be a bug that after you fix, there's going to be another bug. And after you fix, there's going to be another bug. And then it's not going to work the right way that you thought it was going to work. So you have to go back and fix and change this. And now there's another bug. And it makes 5 other bugs happen. The amount of time you have to allocate and organize, that's professionalism. The biggest thing I learned in college was how to manage my time and how to self-educate. Because the professors, they just basically stood up there with a PowerPoint and that's all they did. They spoke from a PowerPoint, they gave us a PowerPoint that we can download at home, which basically says, why are you even here if I can just go to the PowerPoint myself? And then they leave all the professor assistants, which I used to be a professor assistant in mathematics. They just let them do all the work. We would be the ones teaching on a board with markers and answering questions from the students in a room full of like 200, 300 students, right? So there's almost a level of independence that you learn in this college environment. Is that on purpose? Probably not. Is that a alternative case because the professor is there not to teach but to do research for the university? Definitely. That's the reason why the professor is just there to exist. And then he goes into his lab and does his research so that the university can run its research processes and gain prestige and then get more students later. So it's really like a marketing circle. But the thing I'm seeing and that the thing I saw was a lot of students were unprepared. And then I heard so many students that they were like, oh, I thought I wasn't going to pass, but they passed me. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, oh yeah, they just gave everyone like 10% extra because there were too many students failing. That happened once, at least on the basis of like it being honestly spoken. But how often does it actually happen where you have a bunch of students not passing in a class of two, 300 students, and then because the professor wants to maintain their positive image, as if the professor, if that class fails, that professor, if the class fails over and over, that professor starts being the target of why are your classes failing? And you see it happen once in an honest setting, and then you start seeing other students in the same way, like they're not doing as good, or they're not paying attention, or they're goofing out in class, and then they're the ones also getting passed. And I'm just thinking in my head, oh my God, these are going to be doctors. There's going to be surgeons, dentists, bank tellers, and credit and analysts, and market analysts, and so many professions that you have to be on top of your game. But most of these students that I went through back in 2018 when I was teaching, I mean 2016, 18, I can't say they were qualified. Not that anyone in college and university is qualified, but you would imagine that you would see them every day for a year and you would see their progression for qualification, the trend increasing over time. Like, okay, he's getting serious, he's getting serious. It didn't. It either didn't change, they were the same person at the beginning as at the end, especially when you see them multiple years in a row, or it reversed downwards. They got into fraternities. They were having so much fun in college. They went out drinking so much. They came in the next morning plastered and hungover. Like you see these things and you're like, oh my God, these are the people that are going to be taking over the future. Now, like you said, generation replaces generation. It makes you a little scared. But this makes sense now that there is a data set that is showing what I initially assumed when I was working at a university 7 years ago. They're showing this data set of these students that I was basically teaching and noticing these little issues being official.
working world is like. And the numbers support it. It says beliefs that hiring managers have about recent college graduates that they're entitled. And that's 65 or 70.
Oh, but I'm paying for this class. So, there's, how can you like fail me? You're paying for the teacher's time, not the class. You're paying for the teacher's time. And yeah, if you're going to be going into college, you should go into community college, get as many classes done there because it's cheaper, and then go to university because university is like a three, four, five times premium that you're paying because of the name. But the class is the same. Calculus is still calculus. Trigonometry is still trigonometry. Statistics, physics, all of those classes are the same. They don't change. It's just that you are now going into a different environment, and that calls for a change of price. That's it. That's all it is. So, entitled. I would say entitled. I'm paying for this course, so you can't fail me. I want my money back. It's like you decided to be here. You're paying for the teacher's time to teach you. Yeah, I get granted the professor goes in and out with the PowerPoint, but you still have us. We get paid to teach you. So how are you going to say that you're entitled to being passed when you're not putting in the effort? Like there's such a big conflict of interest. It's so weird.
Percent. And I think that there's a lot of feedback that I've seen where they're trying to get promoted too quickly without the skill or without the demonstrated experience and wanting these really big salaries, but not necessarily paying their dues. They also get offended easily, and that's 65% there as well.
Yeah.
Lack of work ethic, doesn't respond well to feedback, unprepared for the workforce, poor communication skills, lack of motivation, costs more to train, and lacks
Dang.
technological skill. That's actually really surprising. That looks like 28%.
It's not surprising that they lack technological skills. Everyone that uses technology in the new generations, you'd imagine they'd be on a computer learning how the system works. They're probably on an Apple, on an iPhone, on an iPad. They're consumers. They're not like technicians. They're not running into issues that they have to Google and figure out why this won't install. Oh, it's because my security is too high, or because the file is corrupt. I have to re-download it. Or I don't even know if they've installed anything that's not on the App Store. What file do I double click to install something? That's slightly surprising because you'd imagine a group of people that grow up with technology would be more comfortable with it, but it's the problem of what kind of technology you're going for. They're growing up with iPads and YouTube and Coco Melon or the like, right? So they're not actually interacting with a computer to the level of technicals. They're just, oh, it doesn't work, I'm not gonna do it. Or if I can't get it in an app store, I don't. I tried for so long to teach my little sister how to use a computer, how to do editing, video editing, and just image editing on a computer. She never got for it. She never went for it. She stuck to her iPhone or iPad or whatever she has as far as a mobile device, and she did everything on an app. It works, but how much is the limitations of that app? You're not going to be completely capable of actually doing like real good editing. You're just going to be limited to what the app has to offer. So that's where I see that it's not surprising. These kids are limited to a mobile device, and a mobile device, it is made from technology, but it doesn't teach you technology. It just works. It's great that it's convenient and it just works, but you don't understand how it works or what to do to maintain it and constantly upgrade it and uh, maybe optimize the functionality so it runs smoother. What happens when your iPhone starts slowing down? Mm, Either you as an adult buy a new one, or you as a child get your parents to buy you a new one. We don't think about, oh, you can reinstall the whole system and actually get it back to normal. Just back up your stuff, reinstall. It might take some time. You have to reinstall some apps, but in the end, you can get back to that system. No, no, it's done. It's a software thing. It's a software thing, guys. You can reinstall the whole system and get it back from factory settings. So it's not surprising to me.
Said that they lack technological skills because you would think new generation coming into the workplace should be on the far end of, I mean, they grew up with iPads and iPhones and all this stuff. But nonetheless, there is a disconnect between what these colleges are preparing these kids with, these like real life skills, and what they're actually entering into the workplace with. And so
Yeah.
employers are saying that they're just not prepared. It also says that 1 in 5 say they can't often manage the workload and are unprofessional. It says about 20% say they are often late to start and they often don't dress professionally. Additionally, 19% say they often don't use appropriate language at work, and they observe that they're often late to meetings. And
That's
17%
personal.
say they believe they're often too difficult to manage and they
That's
often hand
personal.
in assignments late. And so I don't know if that's a
I'm worried about AI taking over assignments. Like, you know how calculator? No, not even calculator. Caller ID. I used to remember my mom's number, my dad's number, my best friend's phone number, the digits of every single thing. That's a mental like exercise that keeps your mind at bay, like on a certain level, like remembering things and recalling it. Now, I can still remember like the old phone number my mother had. She passed away, God rest her soul. But in the end, like we're replacing phone number memorization with caller IDs. Cool, fine. You used to have to actually put the number with the phone number and the name so the phone recognizes that correlation and then you can see it. But now it's just almost automatic. It's on like some database somewhere. AI is gonna, in calculation, right? Calculators I have a lot of students that cannot do -5 plus 15 or -15 plus 5. Whenever you throw in some odd numbers, they just start freezing and they have to go to a calculator. So it's like these little technologies that we take for granted on a convenience basis are actually degrading our brains. And now AI can write essays for us. Oh,
cultural thing at universities where there's not necessarily a time management component, or they're not teaching that, or professors are okay with them handing in their assignments late. But obviously, in a workplace setting, showing up to meetings late, showing up to work late, turning in your assignments late is the fastest way to getting onto a performance improvement plan and being exited from the business. And for some employers, it's gotten so bad that 1 in 7 companies may not even hire any college graduates in 2025. And that might seem like, oh, that's not that many. But when you extrapolate it out to all of the employers and all the job opportunities and all the people who are coming into the workplace every single semester and every single year, that's a significant number. And not surprisingly, 1 out of 6 hiring managers is hesitant to hire recent college grads. And they feel that a stronger work ethic and a better attitude would make these college graduates more hireable.
look, I've worked at a university and a college. There is like salvation at the end for some people, but it's like 5 or 10%. The problem is we advertise education to a certain level of college and university degrees, and we exclude technicals. Be an electrician, be a plumber. Like there's so many physical jobs that pay so much more that no one wants to do because everyone wants an office job. We overlook the fact that personally in high school, when I was ahead of some classes and I had some open schedules and I had like 3 hours of open nothing, they asked me, "Do you want to go to tech school?" I'm like, "Yeah, what kind of tech schools are there?" I was like, "Oh, there's one for IT and computer information technology." I'm like, "I'm a gamer. I love computers. Sign me up." And that's when I learned so many things about computers that in the end, I'm still using it to this day even the basics of it, how to manage your administrative profiles, how to make environmental variables, how to install information and manage configuration and registry files. All that kind of stuff came from the fact that I took an extra little class. But a lot of students that I've seen today, they have extra classes and they're like, I'm just going to fill it with electives. Gym, art, ceramics. They're just filling in the gaps. Like, are those going to make you money in the future? I mean, maybe if you sell on Etsy, now maybe. I mean, if you sell on Etsy or Pinterest or something like that, you can make money off of that. But like, I mean, that's kind of more of like a gig life, right? Like where you're trying to make your own money with your own skills. And that's not that hard. Asmongold put it really good. He makes money. He said, I make money, or my my goal is to get other people's money in my pocket. Okay, cool. It sounds a little like extreme and aggressive, but you have to find a way to do that. That's literally what business is. So you can either be the crook of the matter and do that in ways that are not conventionally accepted, or you can find what people want, convince them to buy it, to take it, to have it. Just like the sell me a pen, right? Sell me this pen. Find a way to take people's needs, what they might want, and then market it, advertise it, tell people you're doing it, right? That's how I started my educational process, my private tutoring. I needed some backbone. I needed to have experience. So I know I worked at college and university to get that experience. And then from there, I just kept increasing my private tutoring. Over the last 7 years, I've been teaching privately. But if you can make something with your hands, if you can provide a service or something for someone, you can make money. You just have to be a little bit like being it's a little weird, like, because it's kind of awkward for me. I mean, it's awkward for me to try and like advertise, hey, go to superscholar.xyz. I can help you with teaching or education and stuff. It's almost awkward for me to like constantly post stuff for marketing. That's kind of what you have to do. Like, my YouTube here is not going to be I'm going to put any ads on it at any point in time. Um, Most of this is for everyone to know when they watch it that I can tutor you mathematics from fifth grade to college level, programming, Python, C++, JavaScript. If you want more info, go to superscholar.xyz. You'll see it all over the place. Um, but you have to kind of like sell yourself. That's really where it's come to, right? You're trying to sell yourself, and either you're selling yourself to an employer who's going to use your skills in an office cubicle and you're going to waste time not making your own portfolio, or you're going to sell yourself for yourself, where you can have that portfolio, have those students that you have taught in the past, or have those designs and ceramic plates or whatever that you've created and sold on Etsy. You create a portfolio and say, this is what I can do. I remember working at Apple. The one reason I didn't make any apps during that time is because when I worked at Apple Retail, they explicitly said that any code that I create as an employee of Apple has to be given to Apple. It's theirs. I work for them, therefore anything I create as far as code, apps, whatever, it's theirs. That's what happens when you work in these huge environments. They take your essence, your soul, your creativity. So I always motivate people to find something they're good at, expand on that skill. You have AI to teach you even further than before, and work for yourself, improve yourself, have a stepping stone growth for your own life, and don't work for somebody else because they're paying you, because you're basically wasting your time on behalf of their growth, and they can fire you at any time. And that's what's happening recently. A lot of people are getting fired, and everything they've put their life into is gone in an instant. That's a deep subject that I'll go on another day, but this is just kind of like, in a sense, we're going over reality. We're going over how to work, right? How to have an ethic, and potentially building yourself for the better, and also not wasting your time with employers and trying to find your own niche, your own abilities, um, to grow yourself, because that's in the end that's important. I remember working at Take Lessons. They got bought by Microsoft and the server went down. 10 years I was working there teaching students. I made a huge portfolio. I had 89 students. I had a 4.9 rating. I was so happy about the effort I put into it. And even that was kind of a contract thing. Like I was just working with individual students when they needed me. And all of that history that I had for 10 years, snap of a finger, they just shut down the server. They said, sorry, we're just gone. We're not gonna do take lessons anymore. And all that time, right? So now that's what I'm doing is I'm trying to use Patreon and I'm trying to use my own websites and I'm trying to kind of like diversify my identity because I don't want one thing to go away and then all of a sudden I'm starting over every single time. So that's important. Build yourself, don't let other people build you.
And listen, I think we should show Generation Z a little bit of grace here because they've entered into the workplace at a time where it's one of the most topsy turvy and difficult job markets
Yeah,
ever. And a
that's
lot of
true.
college grads are finding themselves having to apply to thousands of positions in some cases in order to get a start in their career. And unfortunately, what that means is that your information is being shared with a lot of different data brokers
Yeah.
through your background checks and employment and education verification
Oh,
processes.
delete me.
And that's why I'm so
Sponsored.
excited to partner with this video sponsor, Delete Me. Basically,
Oh,
what
I'm
Delete Me does,
sorry.
that's
I'm
entering
gonna
into the
skip the
workplace and you're saying
sponsor.
like, geez, how am I supposed to make a name for myself, especially
There it
in a
is.
generation?
Make a name for yourself. That's the word I'm trying to say. Find a way to make a name for yourself. You nowadays it's not too crazy, but you need to know the mechanics of marketing. Just like any game mechanic. A mechanic in marketing is have an identity. You have to have a physical word, sentence, keywords that you can use on Google. Then have images to back up that identity. Then go to trends.google.com. Find and play with different keywords that you can use to kind of piggyback on existing searches and then work your way up from there. Like for instance, if you look up, let's go to google.com. Christoph Andreev, that's me. You find me right away. This has been years of work for me to actually put it up. My Facebook, my Twitter, Flickr, yep, there it is. Instagram, people per hour. How do you do SEO? How do you make your presence exist further? Before like 2015, you would just put keywords on your webpage and that would put you up based on qualifications. Um, but nowadays you have to have a lot of profiles everywhere, wherever you can find. Even if you're not going to use them, because I don't use people per hour. I mean, I just have a profile and now it's in a website. It has my keywords, which are my name, super scholar, professor assistant, etc., etc., mathematics, differential equations, basically the stuff that connects all of my profiles together. Cambly too. And you basically piggyback on other high demand websites with your own identity and you bring it back to yourself. So that's the best way to do this. Is that my LinkedIn? No, it's just a profile system. At some point, LinkedIn will pop up though. No, it's not me, Ruben. But another key, Super Scholar. I don't think this pops up too well because there's someone else that tried to sell me this domain, superscholar.org. So someone's trying to essentially piggyback on that. So it's going to be a Super Scholar is a very generic set of words. So it's understandable that I'm not going to piggyback too crazy on that one. But if you put Christoph with Super Scholar, Super Prof, Facebook again, my actual LinkedIn, I think. Yeah, that's the one. Yep, there I am. See, this is a post. One post puts you up on Google. There's my X again. Patreon. There it is. And there's my Patreon. So Super Scholar Christoph now takes you to where I have my set of students. So having an identity, marketing yourself with a keyword, and then expanding with images, logos. You just have to play around with GIMP, learn how to do image editing, online capabilities. You can find it on YouTube. You can get an AI to help. You can hire me to teach you. That's up to you. But in the end, you're looking at the case scenario of you need to benefit yourself and stop working and wasting your time at a normal job that will only benefit managers and not even managers. They'll be the longer running employees there. They're benefiting the CEO at the top. They're getting those bonuses from your paycheck. Why would you want to put yourself at a risk of working at a job for 2 to 5 to 10 years, feeling self-accomplished, but then the corporation falls or you get fired, and then all those 10 years are gone and you have nothing to back that up. Personal portfolios are important. You have to maintain a self-growth mindset. You can, like, my recommendation for work, if you want to have a decent portfolio, work at a job for 1 to 2 years. That shows employers that you are capable of maintaining a specific environment. Don't work at a job if you know you're going to work there for like a month or two. Or if you do, don't put it on your portfolio. That's just really temporary. And if you have anything on a resume or on a CV that has like a 2 to 5 to 6 month, even seasonal temporary positions, I mean, temporary probably because it says temporary and they're expected to leave, but you really want jobs on your portfolio or CV because you need money. Everyone needs to survive somehow, right? So you will put yourself with your most valuable portfolio items, jobs that you've worked for 1 to 2 to 3 years if possible, and you're going to ignore everything under 6 months if you have like that kind of experience. If you don't and you're just starting at work, put whatever you can. There's no running around that. You have to have 3, 4, 5 jobs nowadays on your portfolio. I do my top 4 jobs: University of Central Florida, Valencia College, Apple, and Microsoft retail, not office, right? Not corporate. So I put those on my resumes for my technical side, or and then my educational side. Oh no, that's for my educational side. So you can have like different portfolios, but that's going too far. We're not here to talk about portfolio management. The point is, the time you put through your life to work and waste time for another office or for another corporation, find a way to benefit yourself at the same time. You don't want to waste that time and have it just disappear. The 10 years I had to take lessons, Microsoft decided to break the website or turn it off. Those 10 years of me building a 4.9 rating for students that enjoyed my conversations, I had to take full screenshots of those websites because they said, "Hey, we're going to take down the website, guys." I'm like, "Crap, I put so much time in this." And you're just gonna like snap like freaking Thanos and now it's gone and all that experience that I put into this and all that work staying up until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because I work multiple time zones and some student in California wants to be taught. Oh, my schedule is not normal. But the case is, find a way to benefit yourself, even if the job you're working at right now is essentially, well, if it's a basic job, then find a gig, find something on the side you can expand your own skill sets on. Don't be stuck with the requirements of that job where nothing that you do on a daily basis is going to benefit you in the future. If you're working fast food and you got to survive, fine. But when you're at home, find something to grind on. Make a portfolio. Nowadays, you can make coding portfolios, design portfolios. You can do your own development at home. You have technology to help you. If you don't have a computer, you got that job, get a computer. Get a basic computer. You don't need that much hardware for a coding machine. And then start somewhere and then build it and build it. And as a developer, as a programmer, never delete your code, even the crap code. Never delete it. Either it's going to be a learning experience that you can look back on and say, oh, that's how I used to code. Gross. Like, it's just one of those things. Or it's something that you can go back 10, not even 10, 10 months, but like a year from now and be like, oh, this was a really good application, but I didn't really program it the best I could. Now I know more. Now I can upgrade it, refactor the old code for new, and then you can expand your portfolio continuously. That's really the key here. Find something that benefits you and don't be apathetic to just working at a company for 5 years when they can just fire you and then you get nothing from it. That's all I'm saying. Don't waste your time. Be professional, not professional. Be self-developmental. Self-developmental? I think that's the word. Find ways to self-develop. Anyway, let's keep going.
Where potentially hiring managers are painting me with a certain brush. Well, these hiring managers are giving us feedback. They're saying they want people who show initiative, who have positive attitudes, who show and demonstrate a strong work ethic. I mean, these are all basic stuff that you would think that everybody would want to demonstrate, but this is what employers are demanding. They're asking for people to be adaptable, to be open to
That could
feedback.
be
They're also looking for
unreasonable.
people who are punctual and reliable.
That could be unreasonable where some employers want you to like work extra hours for no extra pay or extremely odd hours. So it really depends. But honestly, nowadays it feels like employers are also a little bit delusional with expectations, and it makes people feel a little bit incapable of meeting those expectations. Like there was certain jobs that were wanting some programming background for a language with 2 or 3 years experience in that new language. That new language just came out 6 months ago. This is how delusional they can be. How can you have 2 or 3 experience in a specific programming language when it's only been out for 6 months? They'd have to wait another 2 or 3 years to hire people for it. Like it's weird. It's weird that, it's not, it's a double-sided coin here, and it's not just employees needing to keep up with the current market. It's employers that are really delusional about their expectations. So
Reliable. They're not showing up late to meetings constantly. They're not showing up unorganized and unprepared. They're looking for people who have solid technical skills, their interpersonal skills, potentially internship experience. I can vouch for that for sure. When
that's
I was
true.
recruiting the college programs, we absolutely look for people who had internship experience. So if you're in school and you're watching this, I would absolutely recommend that you take as many internship programs as you can, as early into your degree program as you can, because that will give you what they're looking for next is some of this work experience, and also work appropriate social media. I mean, social media is becoming more and more of a thing where you've got people who are posting everything and anything on their TikToks, on their Instagrams, and employers can
Be conscious of what, I mean, if you're gonna go into the marketing aspect of selling yourself as a service or a creator or something online, I really wanted to play Schedule One, but I'm a teacher. It's a big conflict to be playing a game about drugs when you're teaching students between the ages of 9 to 18. So I had to not be like, oh, I can't play it, but I really want to play it on stream. It's just not going to be a good time. You have to make mental decisions on your actions, which kind of sucks. I can still play it offline, off stream, but you just have to have limitations when you are being in a professional mindset. I cannot play Schedule One, the drug growing and selling game, if I'm trying to teach people mathematics. I guess I can incorporate that. Like, hey, you want to start a business? Let's go. You got to do the math. You got to know how much your input costs are and your output costs are. But it's just not going to be that specific game because I'm dealing with ages 9 plus, right? And that little 9 area is where I'm like, all right, oh, it's just a bit of a cliche. It's not going to be a good thing if I just play this drug game. Not going to be good.
see that stuff. They go off and they search. And if you don't think that employers aren't searching your social media before you get hired, I can guarantee you they are going out and checking out, especially the hiring manager, making sure that you would fit into the culture of the team. I sit here and I watch some of these TikTok videos of people slacking off at work and they're bragging about it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, do you not think that your employer, your boss, or somebody on your team is going to see this and maybe not have a great impression of you as a result? But nonetheless, there are people out there that do that. And with the rise of social media,
Right.
haven't necessarily separated the two. You don't have to share every aspect of your life,
True.
especially on social media and especially in a professional setting.
True, true,
And
true.
of course, and this is a super hot button today, is avoiding political topics and talking about
True.
politics. I mean, there are
Mm-hmm.
people who get fired because of their political views. And just out of curiosity for feedback, I looked at the comment section and was finding some really interesting things. And this person says, I own a construction company in Southern California. The problems aren't limited to just college grads by any means. Young people today, with few exceptions, are the most entitled and uneducated people I've ever seen. That's a pretty strong statement. It says that the people that I've hired thinking, and they're devoid of any motivation and require constant supervision. Man, this is pretty scathing. It
Yeah.
says that I have zero. They have zero attention to detail and become frustrated at anything that requires persistence. And they also refuse to separate themselves from their phones. I think that this is probably a pretty valid complaint. I mean,
Like I said, man, they're technical, but their technology and technical abilities really stop at a mobile phone. And that's not really that technical. Not anymore.
when you're in the workplace, being constantly on your phone, that probably will get you in trouble, especially if you're constantly scrolling TikTok. It's like this instant feedback loop. This constant like dopamine hit that you always need to have, and
Yeah.
people are we're all addicted to our devices, but
Yeah.
putting it down when you're in a workplace setting is super important. It says it's literally
Self-control.
impossible for them to put their phone down and focus on work for more
It's
than 10 minutes. This
impossible.
is like really
That's called an addiction. If you have no self-control to just put the phone down, you have to admit, if you do it, you have to admit to yourself that's an addiction. I have to self-control myself and not be a part of the statistic, right? We all want to be different in some way. We all want to be unique and unique snowflakes. But when we all do the same things and we all are a statistic, literally, where most Gen Zers nowadays cannot put their phone down, even at work, there's an addictive factor. It's just the way we grew up, it's the things we've seen, and it's probably on purpose. It's probably on purpose to sell us crap, right? We're seeing advertisements on so many things nowadays that apps, websites, corporations are fighting for our data and our attention and the time we have in our day. Whenever you go to a battle pass, a game with a battle pass, they're trying to do daily events for you to gain some stickers or skins or whatever it is. But they're doing a daily task for you to log in, spend time on that game. Everyone's fighting for your attention, and it's really a case of, are you a consumer or are you a producer? A producer has the self-control to say, hey, this device that I have in front of me, this phone, I can use it to communicate with people and portray abilities and things that I have that I can give on to other people. I can provide stuff to them. A consumer says, oh, a new app that I can download. Boom, and then you're lost in that app for like 5 hours. And what did that time do for you? Nothing. You gained a power level or whatever. Like, we have to be, we're constantly being trapped. Our attention is constantly being trapped in the society we are in right now. And we have to break away. We have to maintain a level of self-control so we don't get stuck being consumers. We can consume, it's not a problem, but a consumer is defined by the fact that that's all they do. They just constantly, you maybe work and then you come home and what do? Put on Netflix, you consume. You go have dinner, you consume. Are you eating at home, being a producer of your consumption, or are you going to a restaurant or getting takeout and Uber Eats and whatever other Glovo or whatever that, goes to your house and you just pick up a bag and start eating? Two different things, right? You can cook at home, learn how to cook if you don't, 100%. It's a survival skill. Doesn't fucking matter if you're a male or female. We need to eat. The substance of life is food. Learn how to cook. It's a survival skill. After you learn how to cook, learn how to grow food. Learn how to kill a chicken. It sucks. I've done it. I never want to do it again unless I have to. But you know what? It's a learning lesson. Everyone should do it once in their life. And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I hated that moment in life. But when my grandma needed to kill a chicken, she's 90 years old. She can't do it. She can pull the feathers off. She couldn't catch it and grab it and put an axe to the head. Welcome to reality. It's fucked up. It's so fucked up. But this is where we are. This is the nature of things.
short attention spans. And I think that this is a symptom of social media. I know I
Yeah.
participate in social media, but I do feel that this is a symptom of the constant swiping.
Yeah. Everything's built
Here's
on an
also a
infinite
person.
scroll. There's a technique in programming where you never let your scroll stop scrolling. It started from apps, it started from Android and iPhone phones. You just they make this infinite scroll window. It's your standard interface nowadays. When you go to App Store, you look for an app and you can scroll and you can potentially scroll infinitely. When you go to Google and you look for images and you look for an image, you're going to scroll infinitely. There's this weird thing where you make something so standard that everyone uses it, you get suspicious of why can't I just get the most relative? And then when it stops being relative, just tell me there's nothing else so I can try again. But the problem is we have freaking Tinder, left, right swipe. We have Instagrams and Facebooks and Googles and app stores, and everything is an infinite scroll. and that just motivates us to keep going in a loop.
Says that they worked in a very busy emergency department, and we had brand new nurse graduate who would not stay off of her phone, ignored her
A
assignments and
nurse.
patients, and was texting friends about the patients in the emergency room. I guess and
This
that's
is a
really
nurse.
sad and completely inappropriate that they're texting and talking. I'm assuming
No,
talking
dude.
crap on their patients or customers.
No,
They took
dude.
away her phone and locked it in the med room, and she had a tantrum. And she finally, I mean, having a tantrum at work because your phone, I mean,
As an adult?
I, de- I deal with tantrums with my 5-year-old, but having a tantrum because of
Seriously?
technology in the workplace is just completely inappropriate. And it says that she was
Yo.
finally given the choice, her phone or her job, and she chose the phone. So the sad part here is that they stopped hiring new nurse grads
No.
after at least
She took the phone over her job. It's like saying, do you want to make money or do you want this bag of cocaine? Give me the cocaine. She's addicted. She's so addicted. She's not rationally thinking about the fact that she's not going to have money anymore. She's going to have to find a new job. And if she goes through the same thing, she's going to have the same problem. And then they're going to give her the same ultimatum, this job or your phone, your little bag of happy juice. Like, come on, dude. That's so cooked. So cooked. The generations, not everyone. I'm never gonna like standardize that every single person is under the same umbrella, but that is such a cooked mentality where your responsibilities as a growing adult get overshadowed by your habits of scrolling on a phone.
according to this
Wow.
comment, and
Wow,
that
wow,
means
wow,
that
wow, wow.
the people who
That's
actually do have
insane.
good work ethic and want to be there and want to get started in their career are the ones who are actually getting hurt here.
That's
It's not the
ridiculous.
people who don't want to be in the workplace. It's the people who genuinely
Ah,
want a strong career. And those are the people that I feel bad for. And one more, this is in the government sector. A government IT professional commenting, same experience. Our division recently hired computer science grads for entry level IT admin positions. Not one of them lasted more than 6 months, not a
six
single
months?
one. Each had the same issues this article describes: no focus, attention, communication skills, any urgency, professionalism, and more. Frankly, it was shocking to observe the social and professional dysfunction. So, out of
Yeah.
curiosity, I went over to TikTok and I found a few videos, sure enough, of Gen Z who
That's not even a job you would put on your portfolio. If all you can manage is 6 months over and over, you're wasting 6 months of your life. You only do three 6 month jobs when you've never worked before. You need something, anything. And then you have to have a good reason why you didn't stay for longer. Oh, it was temporary. Oh, it was an internship. Oh, the environment was toxic. But even when you start talking bad, you start getting pinpointed as the problem. So you have to have a really good excuse for the reason why you don't have like a really long job, or oh, I just started entering the work market. That's good enough. I'm looking for myself in the work that I'm trying to achieve, and I'm exploring my options. That's a great way to say I didn't want that other job because it was toxic. I'm exploring my options. I'm a new employee. I'm trying to find a place where I can grow. Then you convert that 6 months to maybe I could work here. They could be a good employee and they want to grow. So it sounds like they want to put effort into it. Employers want to see effort, not, oh, everywhere I go, I'm going to be tagged for my phone. And they were so toxic. They didn't let me scroll on my phone.
are talking about getting fired. Now, we'll put a disclaimer here that
Yeah, man.
I tried to find a variety of people, but it seems overwhelmingly that women like to post this stuff more than men. I didn't find very many men talking about getting
I'm
terminated.
not
It was
even going to
mostly women,
comment.
which I found to be very interesting
No
and odd.
comment.
Part
Oh,
two, and the
look.
last part of how I got fired 3 times from 3 different companies and how they were all my fault. After I got my accounting diploma,
One real quick thing. She seems
Great
awfully
start.
proud and happy to be talking about how she got terminated.
I worked
Yeah.
2 back-to-back accounting roles for 2 different companies, and I got fired from both of them within the same year. My first accounting role, I got in
That's
so much shit for
crazy.
being on my phone all the time because the role was just so boring. The company culture also sucked because there were so many snitches. Like, literally random people would walk by my desk and tell management anytime I was on my phone. Obviously, after my first warning, I didn't go on my phone as much, and people would still snitch on me.
This girl's not even a high school mentality. She's like middle school child, grown up adult. Snitches? Snitches get stitches or some BS. Like, you're in a work environment. People are trying to see if you're gonna work good, especially when you start. When you start a job, yeah, eyes are gonna be on you until you can prove that you can be a self-guided, self-motivated employee without someone having to tell you what to do. And then something happens, and then you present like, hey, here's the papers that you normally want every Monday. Boom, golden. You can work on your own. Perfect. That's what I have to do. I have to manage my own schedule. I have to know when my students are coming up. I have to maintain each student's portfolio of the things we've gone through so I can make sure that I'm not like mixing students from subject to subject. You have to be able to manage yourself. If you cannot manage yourself, someone else is going to manage you. And if they are having a tough time managing you because this is your attitude, you're not gonna have a job for more than 3 months, like she basically went through. Damn, let that be a learning lesson.
If I was doing something as little as like changing the song or like changing the podcast that I was listening to. It got so bad that management physically moved my desk to be in front of her desk so she could watch and make sure that I wasn't on my phone. She would have rather that I just click around the screen on my computer if I ran out of work and after I reviewed everything already. They were also so clicky.
What are
Like
these
I hated
hand
going to lunch and it was like
movements?
such a high school vibe because like
You're a high
management would
school,
literally be
you're a middle school vibe. You are a child that somehow made it to adulthood without any self-discipline. I can't, I have to continue, but I really don't want to keep listening to her. Holy crap.
like that group of girls that would like whisper among each other and like point and like laugh. Anyway, that made me realize I didn't like being micromanaged, so I didn't really care about getting fired from there. Plus, they were barely paying me anything. In the next accounting role, this girl that was like the all-star employee just had it out for me. A recruiter got me that job and I didn't have any problems. He only said that it was 8-hour days and I could start anytime between 6 and 9. I was like, okay, cool, and I did my job. And then halfway into my contract on Black Friday, my recruiter visited me to let me know that he talked to HR and HR thinks that I'm doing a really good job. He was like, keep up the good work, reward yourself with some good Friday shopping today, and I did. In the middle of me shopping, like I was at checkout, the HR of that
Consumer.
company called me and was like, yeah, we're gonna have to let you go. He was mad about it too. Like he was like, don't bother coming in to get your stuff, we'll get it mailed to you. And I was like, what happened? And apparently the all-star employee was talking mad shit about me, saying that I was coming in whenever I felt like it, and that I thought I was too good for everyone because I didn't like to interact with people. No, it was just
I was depressed in text. This is from her. I was depressed. I hate accounting. And she constantly talked on me about my skills and looks. Okay, gaslighting. She constantly talked out. Gaslighting is a constant theme with the female gender. Males do it too, but not to the same extent because we don't care to prove right or wrong. But I was depressed. I hate accounting. What the fuck are you doing as an accountant then? That's the most ironic thing I've ever seen. Make sure you do a job you want to do. But this is like a whole generation, I think, of people that have been advertised and marketed to get a better future, go to college, and then they're like, well, what makes the most money? Accounting. Oh, I hate accounting, but it makes money. That mindset is probably going to be one of two things. One, you're either going to have to force yourself to do something and be a really good employee and be miserable for the rest of your life. Or two, you're going to be like her, can't keep a job because you hate the types of jobs you get because that's what your profession and your education is in, and you're not going to be employed for very long. So either you're going to be miserable or you're going to be poor. If you pick a job that you hate because it makes money, I'm sorry, that's her fault. That's her fault. Like you have to. It's not all her fault, I guess. I have to go back a little bit on this because college and universities have been overhyped. Again, 90% of people that go through are not going to use their diplomas, which sucks. Absolutely sucks. There's so many people that go through education and they end up not even using that $50,000 diploma, and now they're in debt, and now they got to pay it off with garnishing of wages. But like at some point you have to look at yourself like she is not doing and say, "Hey, I'm doing this job that I hate. I need to figure out how I can do something that I like and improve my work ethic." Because this is just gonna happen over and over with this girl.
Just her. I didn't like interacting with her because she was always such a bitch to me. She didn't know the
Oh my
terms of my
God.
contract regarding the hours, so she made it sound like I was literally just coming and going whenever I felt like it. Anyway, I didn't want to fight it because I didn't like that company either, and I just hate doing accounting. And this was the actual getting fired moment that actually messed me up because I was completely blindsided that I literally left the store without paying. Obviously, I went back and paid for it after the employees chased me down, but like they were very sympathetic because they could see
Oh, wait. Obviously, I went back and paid after the employees chased me down. This girl is all kinds of cooked. All kinds of cooked, man. She is out of her mind.
see on my face that I was in complete disbelief. Anyway, I'm not like that anymore, and I actually straightened up and I started working an accounting role again for this really big bank, and they actually had like insane training. I like the training, but I hate accounting, so it was actually me that made the decision to leave this time. Now I've been at my job at this investment firm for the last like
See, you get the job that you will like that'll give you big money because it's a big bank and you still hate your job, so you just leave anyway. Where does that stop? You have a horrible job, you get fired. You have a great job, but you hate it and you leave both of them. Like you have to either like grow up and succumb to the fact that you spent 4 years in college and university and then work your ass off and maybe use that money from work to maybe get a new degree, something else that this time around you know you're gonna like. Not just keep leaving or keep getting fired or keep acting a fool, man. You can't keep acting a fool.
3 years now. But moral of the story is, if you're an adult like me that had to learn responsibility at a later age, don't be ashamed of it. It comes eventually. Or it's forced to come out in dire situations when you need to.
No.
So it looks like the positive news here is that she's learned from her mistakes and looks like she's finally found some footing in a career path that maybe
I
is a
don't
little bit
know.
more fulfilling for her. But
I don't
you
know.
can kind of see the mentality of kind of lackadaisical and not being totally engaged, being on your phone, coming and going. Even if there is an ambiguous time frame in your, she said in her contract, I would still recommend getting very clear feedback from your boss about what's the expectation. And if you're noticing that all of your coworkers are coming in at a certain time, I would personally probably try to mirror that myself. I wouldn't go rogue and come in whenever they want, especially in the beginning of your contract or your tenure at the employer, because everybody's looking at you and seeing what kind of
Oh,
impression you're
okay. I
making.
think
If
I'm
you're
done with this anyway. I think I've said everything I need to say. Work on yourself. If you want to watch this, I'm gonna end the stream now and continue with something else after. I'll leave a link to the stream itself. I'm thinking of doing these live stream. I do like to do like kind of these reacts on video and upload them, but I also like to just go on live stream. It's much more smooth. It's much more smooth to just go on, whoever's on comes in, chit chats with me, says hello. Um, than having to like post a video and then basically do everything the same way without the interaction. I'm a human being. I'm a Leo. I love to interact with people. So feel free to interact with me, whether it's in chat, in the comments, wherever, right? So, what did we learn today? Ah, the trend of generations and their professionalism is going down. Which means, here's kind of the overall look here, which means a lot of people are going to lack these skills, and not a lot of these new generations are going to get hired. So if you're watching this and you see this and you say, well, I think I can overcome this issue with the generation, you have a higher chance of getting a job if you can overcome these issues. I mean, it's really easy, right? Stop being on your phone at work. Don't be like her with that attitude. Find something you like to do and then focus all your energy into that. If it doesn't pay you right now, spend time developing it on the side as you have a full-time job, right? You work something else to make you money and put food on the table, but also yourself developing yourself with game development, programming, music creation, whatever it is that you might like, design, video editing, streaming, you have to do two things at once for a long time before you can really move onto your wants, the things that you want to do and you enjoy doing. Because in this life, sadly, we have to work for others to make money to survive. But if you depend on that for the rest of your life, you're going to waste a lot of time of your life. And it's time now for people to rise up and start expanding small business because big business is falling apart. People are realizing that the more people that go in a company, the worse that product becomes. You could look at Ubisoft, you can look at EA Games, you can look at all of these different corporations that are losing money right now. You're going to see a lot of firing happening as I'm watching the fundamental aspect of the economy. People are getting fired consistently month by month from many jobs, tens of thirties to fifties of thousands per company, month by month. And it's only going to get worse because AI is going to come in. I just saw recently HR was fired, from some company. If you work in HR, human resources, find a new skill. You are going to be obsolete. AI is going to do things way better than you without the personal biases, and that's just my opinion on that. I've always considered HR to be a crap work job anyway. There's no actual productivity there. It doesn't attribute to the bottom line of a company. So self-development is what you should get out of this stream. I hope to help out in any way I can if you do need any help with your self-development, whether it's programming, whether it's mathematics, statistics. Maybe you want to go into investing and trading. I can help with that too. I'm not going to be a professional on the scene, but I can help you get started and have a good idea of what to look for. Those are risky places, so I wouldn't suggest going into it full. I would only suggest going 10% into anything that's investing or trading. You don't want to go 100% in those because if you go 100% and something happens that you didn't expect, you're down to 0%. But, 10% is good to trade or invest of anything that you have. Um, because if you lose that 10%, it's not going to be a negative on your life. And if you make money from that 10%, it could turn to 20. It can turn to 40. It could turn to 80, depending on how you do it. Um, I'm not gonna be that person. It's like, oh, I'm a market guru. I can help you with that. No, I look at the numbers, I look at analysis, I know how fundamentals work, I know how technicals work. I can teach you how to analyze data statistically. I am not gonna teach you how to trade because that's not a thing. No one can teach you how to trade. Most of them look at lines and guess. You need to know how to analyze data and understand what to look for because there's a lot of economic pipelines you have to understand. You're basically going into macroeconomy, and not even that, global macroeconomy, because now we're a global economy. What happens in China affects what happens in the US. What happens in Japan affects China, Taiwan, Vietnam, the US, Europe. There's just so many pieces to that puzzle, right? And that's why it's not, well, buy this, it's going to go up. That's not it. That's not what I will help you with. I'll help you with how to be independent and understand the statistical analysis, the fundamental analysis, and the technical analysis. A lot, you need multiple tools to be successful. But anyway, I've gone too far. I hope this was entertaining, and I'm gonna. Oh, I don't know what I'll do next. I might do programming. I wanted to do something. Yeah, I'll expand on programming. So I'll do programming next. I should put React on this. Hold on. Uh, if you have any questions, if you want to say anything, you're always free to I think that should be it then. I'll go ahead and put up the link in the description.